Okay, cool. Now we're ready. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. This is the secretary breakout. So we'll be going over just the secretary role in general. At the end, we will have time for questions. That can be in regards to the secretary role or just in general. We're happy to help answer any of those questions. So to get us started, I'm just going to introduce myself and Courtney. So my name is Heather Robinette. I am the fraternity manager of strategic communication and engagement. And then Courtney, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I am Courtney. I'm the Eastern Great Lakes Regional Director.
You want to start?
You want me to start, Heather?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm actually, Heather, it might be easier for them to I'll talk to them. If you go to slide 5, where they can look at the template while I'm talking about it. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so there are several steps that, in order to have complete minutes as a secretary, that you need to take. In this template that is on the screen, honestly, you just are going to go through everything and fill it all out. So step 1, contain the type of meeting, the date, the time, and place. So think type of meeting. It could be an executive board meeting. It could be a general brotherhood meeting. You could be doing virtual minutes. You just want to make sure that you have the type of meeting and then obviously the date, the time, and the place. So step 2 is record the motions voted upon, who moved them, and who seconded them. So at the end of the day, we want the minutes to be as complete and have as much information as possible. To think about, if you're a member who didn't attend that meeting, you want to know everything that happened. That's the purpose of the minutes, right? And actually, as a volunteer who can read your minutes, whether it's a chapter advisor, a chapter advisory board, section director, regional director, whoever is for faculty advisor, if we're not there, we want to know what happened and how it gives us tools to be able to guide you. Step 3, you do not need to record the discussions of the motions. So meeting minutes should not be a transcript of the meeting, but provide enough detail to trigger your memory of what was discussed and who brought up what points. So again, just make sure that you have as much information that gives individuals that weren't there, but has, what am I trying to say? Has as much information to ensure that people who aren't there have the information, but you don't have to do exact words either. I know there's been questions about recording, like video recording meetings, that you'd have to actually talk to your university to know whether that is something that your university allows. You have to note that if there's any conflicts of interest, and to detail all disclosures. Minutes need to be taken at all formal meetings. And lastly, you should present the minutes at the next meeting as well. So any individuals, it should be a recap of the previous meeting for the next meeting.
Cool. And then we're going to
Heather, you want to take the next?
Yeah, I'm just going to back up real quick. So basically we went through these 6 steps while looking at the minutes, just to give you guys an idea of what we were looking at. This here is a screenshot from ChapterSpot in HQDocs. So this is where not only can you find that template, but you're able to also upload your minutes for your chapter meetings and your exec board meetings. If you see on the left side where it has the year, so you'll go with the corresponding year, and then you'll also have then the chapter minutes and executive board minutes. And then that will be then where you're able to essentially use this as a document repository and being able to keep those. So then, yeah, we talked about the minutes template. And then moving on, next will be the calendar. So you should be creating a calendar at least for the upcoming semester, if not for the upcoming year. This should be, including all of your meetings, rituals, any activities or events that you already know the dates for, or at least tentative dates. This allows you to be able to provide a calendar for your chapter members, so they know kind of what to plan around, especially for work, things like that. Being able to know ahead of time makes it a lot easier for them. And this can be done as a physical calendar, Google Calendar, however you guys want to keep a calendar, that's totally fine. But the biggest thing is just being able to give them that heads up, just so they can plan, especially when it comes to their semester. It's a lot easier to plan around things when you know well in advance versus, a couple weeks ahead of time. So, Courtney, do you want to take this slide?
Sure. So, the biggest thing that I want you to look at is the AK Psi as a guest on campus. At the end of the day, the university has first say, AK Psi has second. So, my biggest advice as a volunteer is work with your faculty advisor. To be in constant communication as secretary, you're the release of the information, if you will, for the chapter to other individuals. So your faculty advisor is your biggest asset to the chapter and to you as an individual, to help work through all things and everything that a chapter could need when it comes to a relationship in conjunction with your university. So kind of like I said before, with following university policies, contact your CERC if you have questions, because they can help you if there's a conflict, because sometimes it does happen where school policy and the AK Psi policy don't necessarily match up. If you have questions, if you don't know who your CERC is, you can just email cerc@akpsi.org. And then I already went through your regional management team on the previous slide, but there's all listed. And starting with your chapter advisor, that's your biggest asset. And then when it comes to the management team, they're your person, if you will, on the management team. If you don't know who it is, please reach out to your regional director, and they should be able to assist you.
Next up, we are going to talk about the meeting structure. So earlier we talked about the meeting minutes, and then this kind of will go hand in hand with that as far as then what a meeting should look like. So first off would be roll call, or essentially taking attendance of some kind, just so you are able to record everyone who is present at that meeting. From there, as Courtney mentioned earlier, you'll read the chapter minutes from the previous meeting. And then next would be officer and committees will provide their reports. Then you would go over any old business, open the floor for new business. Brothers chat is really meant to be a chance for any brothers that want to bring up anything that's going on in the chapter, going on with themselves, things like that. And then this is something I encourage chapters I work with, but to take time to talk about the pledges. It's better to do it more consistently versus just the 3 times, where it has to be done. Being able to continuously bring that up, especially if there's something going on, it makes it a lot easier than once you get to, the midterm interviews, court of honor, then there are no surprises. Everyone already knows what's going on, what's happening. If there are any problems that need to be addressed, that should already have been taken care of. From there, announcements, adjourning the meeting, and singing the anthem. So that's the meeting structure. Then Courtney, I'll let you, if you want to jump in on this one.
Oh, the wordy one. Thanks, Heather. Voting on discipline. So actually, something I said before about AK Psi policies not matching university policies, this is one specific area that I would actually double check with your university to ensure that policies don't conflict. There are 3 types of disciplinary actions that you can take, or that an individual can be brought up for suspension on: non-attendance, financial, and then disciplinary action. Non-attendance is kind of self-explanatory. you do need a majority vote for the entire chapter. The big thing that's said here is reasonable reinstatement terms. At the end of the day, when you change the individual's status in ChapterSpot, if you don't have, you're going to have to put in the reinstatement terms, and you have to have reasonable reinstatement terms. So, for example, if someone is not attending meetings and events, a reasonable reinstatement term would be like do 5 hours worth of community service, not 500 hours of community service. Again, your CERC is going to work through that on look through it on ChapterSpot when you put the terms in, and if you have questions, they'll be able to answer them. The next one is financial. So a member who fails to pay dues, again, they can be brought up for suspension. The last one is disciplinary action. This is a big one. So if chapters are going to take an action against someone who has done something wrong, the first thing that you should do is work with the chapter advisor to ensure that it doesn't have to be taken to another level, if you will. If someone's doing something wrong, at the end of the day, I don't want a student to feel uncomfortable. And any volunteer will be able to help you figure out how to go through with the disciplinary action. At the end of the day, chapters and student members are not able to be expelled at the chapter level. They have to, that's at the board of directors level. So there's different levels of disciplinary action. And again, volunteers will be able to help you figure out the minefield of disciplinary action.
Okay, next we're going to talk about ChapterSpot.
Do you want to take it over with ChapterSpot?
Oh, yep. So for ChapterSpot, so the 7 core officers are going to be the only ones that have an admin access. Really just means access in general to ChapterSpot. Ultimately, right now, all you're doing is managing members, as well as being able to upload any documentation, look at the documentation, things like that. But this is also critical that the 7 core officers are updated correctly in ChapterSpot, just because that is what determines who gets sent the emails. So the emails that are going out for officers about reminders of things, the officer newsletter, things like that, that's where this comes into play. So just making sure you double check your ChapterSpot, making sure the members that are in those roles are the correct members, so the right people are receiving the emails. And we'll get there in a second about how to do that. But just wanted to make sure we took a minute to note the purpose behind that. And just as a quick reminder, if you go into the community under My Membership in the upper right, you should see log into ChapterSpot. So you're able to get to ChapterSpot through the community. And Courtney, do you want to take over the statuses?
Sure. So these are the 5 statuses an individual can be in AKSI. So most of you are student members or collegiate members applying for leave of absence. So there's several types of leave of absences. In order for an individual to take a leave of absence for hardship, you need to get the regional director's permission in order to do so. So the individual who's applying for a leave of absence would actually email the regional director and request that leave of absence. There's for internships, study abroad, or for military, you actually cannot deny that type of LOA, and you don't need the permission of the regional director to do so. Medical leave is the other leave of absence, and that again will need the approval of the regional director too. And then just to note, leave of absences do expire at the end of each academic term, so individuals that need to apply again would need to apply again to go for another semester. We already went through the suspension, so I'll skip that. And reinstatements. And then I want to go to alumnus. I know that there's going to be a lot of chapters right now are going to have individuals that are leaving campus and are coming back, but potentially could come back in the future. Those individuals are actually going to be put into alumnus status. And then when they do, if they do eventually come back, that's when you email your CERC. So think alumnus, any reason they're leaving the university, that's when they're put into alumnus status. If an individual is suspended and they never do their reinstatement terms, they're just going to be left in the suspension until they, in 20 years, if they decide to fix their reinstatement, complete their reinstatement terms, they'll fix it then.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
And that actually leads us into some of what you've already touched on with the reinstatement terms. So I don't know that we'll really go too in depth since you mostly covered this in the previous slide. So we'll go ahead and move on to reporting pledges and initiates. So these are just the steps. Here in a second, we're going to look at a quick screenshot. A lot of times the VPM will handle this, so just make sure you're on the same page with your Vice President of Membership in terms of who is going to be doing this. So essentially you'll create a campaign. If for some reason you can't, just make sure the previous campaign is closed. From there, you're able to either create a form or upload your prospects, which are your potential new members. You would then move them to the to be inducted status. And as soon as they are inducted, you would move them over to the inducted status, get them reported as pledges, which is also, they should be paying their induction fee at this point as well to get them started in the process. This also is what kicks off the email to them to invite them to the community to get the resources they need for the pledge process. And then this is a screenshot that shows you what that looks like within ChapterSpot. So as you can see under the recruitment tab, that's where this will come up and you're able to upload the potential new members into here. Courtney, do you want to take the section over reporting officers?
So this is actually really important because a lot of chapters get really confused by this because it did change recently. So the next slide will actually have the screenshot of it as well. So updating, you're going to go to the member section of ChapterSpot. The new part of this is the position elect roles. In order for an individual to be put into, for example, secretary, they have to have a secretary elect first. And that period could be anywhere for a few months, or a few weeks, a few months, a few weeks, or even a few days. So you're going to update. Oh, I'm sorry. Jason, you distracted me. Updating officer inputs, the start and end dates for chapter secretary. You're going to have the transition period. So see those dates. You're just going to list them. So you're going to have the new date is when the officer is elected. Obviously, the end date is when they become and take over that role officially. It will automatically change, so you won't have to do anything after you put them in that into that elect role. And then to go to the next slide, Heather, for me. And then this is what it looks like. Do that on ChapterSpot.
And just a quick note, so especially for anyone who does not currently have their officers reported and they do need to get them reported, the biggest thing is just make sure that the start date and end date that you put in is at least 24 hours, but then also give the system 24 hours to make that switch. So I usually tell people put it in for at least 24 hours. And give it 2 to 3 days, the system will switch it over itself. It just takes a little bit of patience. but then it'll automatically put you, it'll move you from elect to the actual position, as Courtney mentioned, and then you will start receiving the information you need, and you will also have the access you need from there. And so then with that, I will leave it on the, move it to the resources page. So there's a lot of different links, and I believe this is being sent out or shared. And so you'll have the presentation, the meeting minutes template, parliamentary procedure, some great videos. There's several playlists you're able to look through to help with that, as well as virtual meeting information, just to help you with navigating that for this semester. So with that, are there any questions?
Yes, Heather and Courtney, we have a question from Angie, and it says, how much time do you recommend allotting for each officer during chapter meeting?
Courtney, do you have any, you want to start with anything?
So actually my recommendation for that would be asking each individual, maybe setting 10 minutes, but then if a officer needs to go over, have them notify the secretary. And then you can adjust that on the meeting template or the structure, the agenda, if you will, before the meeting starts.
Yeah.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yes, we have another question regarding statuses. If someone would not like to be active because they will not be on campus, but still enrolled, what do you recommend?
Well, so I guess the first question is, why do they not want to be active? I would make sure to understand the purpose, because there are several LOA statuses, but just to make sure it's just, one of those where it's just because they don't want to be involved. And, if there's a financial reason, or a medical reason, if there's some type of reason that'll align with one of the LOAs, it sounds like an LOA situation, but I would just make sure it's one of those that it's not because they just don't want to do it, because then that becomes a bad habit. And I've seen several chapters then where they end up with way too many LOAs, just because people start to take advantage of it. So just making sure you're setting expectations, and everyone understands the purpose of the LOAs as well. But that could be a potential option you look at. Does that answer your question?
And if I could add on to it, I also, with everything that's going on right now, obviously no one expected this or was prepared for this. But this is an opportunity for your chapter to do something that you've never done before. And make sure that chapter experience or that member experience for all of your members is, granted, it's going to be different. It's going to look different, but it's an opportunity for all of you to do something that you've never done before. All of a sudden, you can get a speaker that's not going to be there in the classroom with you, but they're going to be on a Zoom call just like this that you would have never been able to get before because they live 12 hours away. All of a sudden, you can have a really cool, even alumni of AKSI speak to your chapter and make sure that each individual is having a phenomenal member experience even through this. I can't stress, treat this as a huge opportunity for not only you as an executive board member, but the impact that you can make on your chapter as a whole.
It's a great point.
Thanks, Jason.
That out there for everyone. Yeah, are there any other questions from the participants?
Heather only bites a little bit, I swear. I mean, and I will say, kind of off my last point, I mean, Heather and I, being volunteers, but also being alumni of AKSI, we have access to networks, and I know people, right? Like, use your resources. We can connect you with individuals that were in our own pledge classes that are doing really cool stuff. There's people out there, I swear.
So we have a great question from Lisa. Just to clarify, how soon should meeting minutes be posted onto ChapterSpot after the meeting?
Do you want me to take it?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. So I always rule by the number 7, right? So 7 days, because usually you have a meeting within 7 or every week, right? So you should try to get it on there as soon as possible. One, so you don't forget, but also to give the opportunity for individuals that didn't make the meeting be able to read up prior to the previous meeting. Therefore, if they have any questions when you go over the previous meeting in the next meeting, they'll already have those questions and be ready to ask. So I would say 7 days at the latest, but earlier is best.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Lisa. Thanks for asking.
Okay, well, if we don't have any other questions, and I don't see any hands raised in the participant list, Courtney, Heather, any final closing thoughts?
As a volunteer, I want to say reach out to your volunteers. They're here to help you, and they miss you, and it's been a really weird, rough few months, and it's just going to change every minute, it feels like. But reach out to people that don't necessarily know what they're doing but can help. We're there to help you. We want to help you. This is, at the end of the day, we don't get paid to do this. We want to do this. This is a choice. So reach out to your volunteers.
Yep. And yeah, and just to echo that, especially if you do have any questions about taking the meeting minutes or anything you should be doing, I mean, just reach out. That's what your chapter advisor is there for. They're there to help with any day-to-day operation type things. Ask them any questions. They are there to support you. So just keep that in mind. You know, they, just like us, are volunteering and honestly are just there to help you. That's really the sole purpose of why they're doing this. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't feel like you're bothering them with a silly question. They love to help. So yeah, it's the last thing I have.
Oh, that's a Jason question.
Yep, Jason.
So the question is, will the recording be distributed? And yes, it will be. I believe they get loaded to YouTube, to our YouTube channel, post-event, and that'll happen within the next 24 to 48 hours, and then you'll be able to go to our YouTube channel and find the recording.
Cool.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to Heather and Courtney and to all of our participants for being here tonight. So, there's a secondary question, which is there a way we can acquire the PowerPoint for the secretaries? I think we can probably shoot that out. And I think following up with Heather, with Coral or Amber as your resource coordinator, they'll be able to get that to you. And if you don't know who is who, you can always just email cerc@aksi.org.